Hello, a very good afternoon and welcome to the TISO British Grand Prix and welcome to Inside the Paddock as well from sunny Silverstone, although I fear that that's only going to last for the next 24 hours. If you are coming tomorrow, the latest weather forecast means that I strongly suggest you're probably worthwhile bringing an umbrella tomorrow. But we're going to enjoy the sunshine whilst it lasts. And I come to you after a pretty interesting opening session of the morning, which did see Marc Marquez fastest by 0.3 of a second. But quite interesting, Marc Marquez, we don't know exactly what, but a small technical issue at the end of the session meant that he completely missed the practice start session, which might not sound like a big deal, but here in particular, that could be quite interesting as we go into the TISO Sprint tomorrow in particular, not having that experience, because the opening corner here at Silverstone it's a high commitment corner. It's very fast. It doesn't require a lot of straight up braking, which is normally used to disengage the advice. So he doesn't have any of that knowledge, any of that practice going into tomorrow. Neither will he have had the opportunity to work out what the launch control is like. He will be heavily leaning on teammate Pecco Bagnaia and Fabio Di Gianantonio, who have got different start devices to that of the GP24, to make sure that that is fully dialed in and ready for later today. Yes, he can do a practice start later on this afternoon, but not on the start-finish straight, where importantly you can test just the amount of brake pressure needed to be able to disengage that device. So that's something to keep an eye on as we go into tomorrow. We'll ask him about it later on and work out how much of a disadvantage he feels it could well be. But an interesting sort of story that could develop throughout the weekend. I mean, likely, having said all of that, Marc Marquez will now get the best start of his season so far and take the whole shot from row 3 of the grid tomorrow. But something to keep an eye on anyway. Of course, you join us where the hot talk of the paddock is Aprilia and Jorge Martin. The stories just ravaging the back pages of every sports paper around the world at the moment, with the hot breaking news that came out following the French Grand Prix that Martin is looking for an early exit from that Aprilia contract at the end of the year. I managed to speak to Alberto Puig at the start of the session, who didn't shy away from the fact. He said that Jorge Martin is a world champion. If you weren't interested in a rider like that, you're an idiot. Exact words. He did say it's not in Honda's style for them to approach a rider that is currently under contract, which he is at the moment, Jorge, until the end of 2026. However, if he was available, we would of course be interested. So that's something for us to keep an eye on as we go throughout the next weeks and months. Honda clearly has an interest in Jorge Martin. It is now up to Martin and Aprilia to try and find a solution to this disagreement. If you want my personal opinion, Jorge Martin ends up on a Honda next year. I mean, I just don't know how they can somehow salvage this relationship, given the point that it's at, given the fact that it's going to take a lot of lawyers, it's going to take a lot of back and forth. There's an obvious disagreement, an obvious desire, if the stories are led to believe, and they come from very, very well-informed journalists within the Spanish media and further afield as well. So that clause does exist, that if he's not inside the top 5 after the opening 6 rounds of the year, or any Aprilia is in the top 5 after the opening 6 rounds of the year, he can leave for free without penalty at the end of 2025, 1 year earlier than planned. However, Aprilia, I'm sure, will be fighting tooth and nail, given the financial investment that they've made in Jorge, given the amount of support that they've given him over the past months, following on the huge crashes, 2 at the opening test of the year, then on the eve of the World Championship whilst training, then at Qatar during his comeback as well. They have stood by him throughout all of that, so I'm sure that they feel there's a slight betrayal there for that trust to have been broken. But given the fact that there is that break of trust, and you do have to ask the question how on earth that relationship can be repaired. But one thing is for certain, Alberto Puig said it himself, Honda are waiting in the wings, ready to pounce and poach Jorge Martin if that contract frees up. As we see, Alex Rins firing past. Alex, how was this morning?
Not bad, not bad. Really struggling to warm the rear tire. I had some scary moments, but yeah, no, not so bad.
some sunshine in Silverstone. Not always the case. Hopefully you can enjoy it this afternoon.
And tomorrow, let's see if it's shiny like this.
I don't want to bring.
I don't think so.
No, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I think you might need a rain jacket
Thank
tomorrow.
you.
Good luck, Alex.
Thank you.
There we go. Alex just catching up with some of the British fans here as well. I don't think it takes an idiot in Alberto Puig's words to work out who these young men are supporting in the fluorescent yellow. Fabio Di Antonio fans and Marco Bezzecchi fans as well. How are you guys? All good?
Yeah, good, yeah.
Who are you supporting?
Fabio Di Antonio.
Oh, there we go. I thought so. That big 49 was a bit of a giveaway. And what about you? In the Bez camp?
Yeah.
What's your name, chaps?
Keaton.
Keaton, nice to meet you. I'm Jack.
I'm Harvey.
Harvey, Keaton and Harvey. Right, lads, who's going to win this weekend? Tough one, I know.
Fabio Di Antonio.
He's going to win, okay, I like it.
It's probably going to be Marquez, but I want Fabio Quartararo to win.
You want Quartararo to win, okay, I like it. Well, Keaton, Harvey, have a good weekend. Nice to meet you, lads. Enjoy it. Some strong predictions there. Digi's got a great chance. Mark obviously has a great chance. Fabio Quartararo, that's an interesting pick from Harvey. I think he's got a good chance as well if he can navigate what looks like being a potentially tricky session tomorrow in the wet conditions, as we see down here at Yamaha. Interestingly, Fabio, of course, missed the opening 10 minutes of that session after, what can we describe it as, a disagreement with the marshals in Le Mans as he tried to get his bike started and get back out on track. So he was suspended for the opening 10 minutes, and in the end Yamaha quite interestingly used that as almost a bit of a test session. Yamaha were testing in Misano after the French Grand Prix, did some good work and a lot of laps there. This morning Fabio was out there with a slightly revised front wing on both bikes. Clearly feels that's a step forward, and quite radically new swing arm as well. And I mean, over the past couple of weekends, Yamaha have had new engine, new chassis, new swing arm, new aero. These boys are trying incredibly hard to close the gap, and recent weeks tell you they are doing it at some rate as well. I mean, Yamaha are coming. We said it throughout pre-season, given the performances in Sepang. At the moment, they still have some weaknesses that they're trying to work around, but wow, Yamaha have made a huge step this year and are not done yet. They are continuing to work, as are Honda as well. Let's head down towards KTM to wrap up, see if we can get the thoughts of anyone else that may well be floating around. Of course, Aprilia over my back shoulder there. You can see Trackhouse Racing. There was a big crash at turn 2 for Ayagura. Did walk away slightly hobbling was Agura. A fast get-off for the Japanese rider. Hopefully he is okay. As I said, he did walk away from the crash. I'm sure he'll be slightly sore going into the session later on today, but fingers crossed Agura is okay. And when it comes to KTM as well, I've been pointed in this direction. Who do we have? We've got a certain Pedro Costa. Brad Binder as one of our sound engineers just gets in the way. See, we've got cameras and sound techs everywhere trying to get behind the scenes footage, trying to get as many different as we see Brad just saying hello to Pit Byra, who's come here. So that's Jens Heinbach as well, the vice president of motor racing for KTM as well. Be nice to be able to grab a chat with Brad afterwards, who is just starting to find his feet a little bit now. It's been a challenging start to the year. But Brad has been consistent on Sundays, as ever, finding his very best. And you feel as though he's going in the right direction. Brad, before you shoot off, can I just grab you? How was that?
Yeah, a bit tricky this morning. The grip was really like on throttle quite low, so difficult to get used to at the beginning. But anyway, I think we'll be cool later. It looks like we're going to have some sunshine, so that's always a bonus.
Absolutely. Get your sunglasses on and enjoy it.
Cool. Thanks,
there we go. Good to chat with Brad. Interesting. Saying the same thing as Alex Rins as well, that despite the sunshine, still is quite cool. And notoriously, this is a low grip venue as well. That's why Aprilia have had their success in years past. We know just how good the Aprilia is in those low grip scenarios, whether it be here, whether it be at Catalonia, whether it be at Argentina. Those are three big circuits that often come up when we refer to low natural grip on the track, and it seems as though it's exactly the same scenario this weekend, which could hurt both Yamaha and KTM. The Aprilia is slightly different this year, so it'll be interesting to see whether Marco Bezzecchi, who was fast this morning up there in fourth, has been able to maintain those characteristics that made it so strong at those venues in years prior. But I know that over the winter months, Aprilia were working very hard to try and make sure that their bike wasn't one which has been the case in previous years, where at some venues it was the best out there, and then we'd go the next weekend and it was arguably the one that struggled the most. They wanted to try and find that middle ground where they were able to be competitive everywhere we went, which is what they were hoping to provide to Jorge Martin. But yeah, good start for Marco Bezzecchi, who does need a confidence boost, you feel. Let's see if we got anyone else to say hello to. We'll have a final wander down in this direction before we say goodbye. I often tell you about our football matches that we like to play on a Thursday afternoon. Which way are we going? Cameraman's going left, going right. We'll go this way. Try not to wipe people out who are behind us. Have to say, give my thanks to the very fine guys and girls down at Northampton Town, which is a third division football club here in the UK. They opened their doors to us yesterday and allowed a good 25, 26 of us in the MotoGP paddock to go down and do our usual Thursday football antics on their pitch, which was great fun. 3-3 draw in the end between the two teams, so it was a highly competitive affair. Have to say, very, very close to getting the winner. I was so close to getting on the score sheet, and then Maverick Vinales' crew chief, Manu Cachot, had to clear it off the line and deny me the opportunity to get the winner in front of two fans at the Sixfield Stadium. A great shame. I would have loved to have been able to get a goal on that occasion, as we see Pecco Bagnaia just having some photos with the British fans. If I'll just squeeze through if I can, and then on his way back. Pecco, can we walk and talk? How was this morning?
Normal like all the season right now. My feeling isn't good, and we need to work.
Okay, well, hopefully sunshine can provide some
I
joy.
remain like this, yeah, it's helpful. So I really finger crossed that remain like this, just to work.
Absolutely, go and enjoy. Thank you. There we go, Pecco. Yeah, just isn't in his best moment at the moment. I know that he said this morning or yesterday that he had two different kinds of setup, two radically different setups on the bike, just to try and see if he was able to find any answers to this complete lack of front-end feeling that he's had since the start of the year. We need to keep working. Same as always, the answers, despite those two very different setups. Again, doesn't seem like any answers were found by Pecco Bagnaia this morning, which is a concern. Back to the drawing board again for Pecco Bagnaia. I know that after Le Mans he said that he's just going to have to get used to, get accustomed to these problems and change how he rides the bike for the first time in his MotoGP career and ride around them. But God, it must be frustrating for Bagnaia, and you could sense a tinge of frustration there from him at the fact that he just isn't able to do on the bike what he wants to do and what he knows he can do as good as anyone. So let's see if they can find answers this afternoon, but looks as though from that struggles continue for poor old Pecco Bagnaia. Right, that's all we've got time for here on Inside the Paddock in lovely Silverstone. Look at that, the sun beating down. Is there anywhere in the world you would rather be than the beautiful Great Britain, Paradise Island? It's great to be here, and look at my Spanish colleagues laughing behind me. I don't know what you're laughing at, guys. This is the best place in the world. No, it really is. It really is. They're trying to tell me otherwise. Anyway, great to be here. Have a fun weekend, and look forward to being back with you from tomorrow, where, yeah, conditions might be a little bit different according to the weather forecast. As I said, bring an umbrella. It's going to be fun tomorrow. Enjoy practice under the sunshine. We'll chat to you tomorrow on Inside the Paddock.